Welcome to Sharing Needles with Friends.
Welcome.
This episode is brought to you by the fine folks at Vinyl Me Please.
Vinyl Me Please.
Which is a Record of the Month club that believes in the power of an album as an art form. Each month they deliver the members an exclusive pressing of an album.
I've never heard Derek talk like this before.
To the Modern Vinyl Collection.
Dude, he's serious.
I'm very serious. Do you know what Vinyl Me Please is, Blake? Do you even know? Do you even know
I
how
heard
awesome
a little bit
Vinyl Me
of,
Please is?
a little snippet from you.
How would you like?
Awesome.
How would you like to get a record delivered to your house every single month?
I think
of their choosing that they're curating that is always going to be awesome and always going to be something that you're gonna.
That's pretty cool because I used to love Columbia House back in the day, and this is like a hand-picked records.
It is. It's like a curated Columbia House.
Yeah, I like it.
It's like you're not just you're not just getting Beavis and Butthead experience.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what I got from Columbia House.
Me too.
Just randomly.
Yeah, I think I got that one too, but it wasn't random. I picked it.
I mean, I picked it too.
Yeah.
I think.
Why not?
Yeah. Anyways, it's like as low as $23 a month. You can get a subscription to Vinyl Me Please, and they make these awesome little bundles. So you get an album that they choose, which is always a great album.
You get a drink to pair it with.
You do. It gives you a cocktail recipe.
What? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And they
so you can really get into the mood of listening to that record.
You also get like a print, like a little piece of art with each record that's made for each record.
Also cool.
Yes.
And it's also exclusive runs from Vinyl Me Please. So like not everybody's going to get it. It's just
these are things
what
that
they do.
Only Vinyl Me Please members will get, like the War on Drugs that you got. Just a few months ago, they issued a copy of War on Drugs, and it was on green, I believe. And that was a color that you weren't able to get anywhere else unless you were a member of Vinyl Me Please.
Nice.
So Derek has a copy that we can't get.
Yeah.
Because we weren't members then.
Suckers.
I have since seen the light and joined, and I am loving it. Because last month especially was Mad Villain, which, God, that record is...
Yeah, that's like an essential.
So good. So, yeah, they're always putting out really good records, and I don't know that there's never been one that I thought, that one's okay. Well, it's all been like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, whether I haven't thought about that record in forever, or whether it was something that I just hadn't heard yet, like when Sisyphus came out.
Oh, yeah, that was awesome.
The record with the rapper Serengeti and Sufjan Stevens. It's this crazy
I had heard of
mix.
it and never listened to it, but I saw that I was getting it through Vinyl Me Please, and then I was like, holy shit, this is great. I should have listened to this earlier.
It's incredible. So,
and this one coming up is R.L. Burnside, which is someone that I've heard forever, but I never really paid a lot of attention to, and then since I heard that, I've been just listening to it nonstop. So,
it is amazing.
Go to vinylmeplease.com and get your invite, and you will not be disappointed.
Not ever.
Where else are we sponsored by, Mr. Priest?
We're also sponsored by Nothing Too Fancy, which is right here in Knoxville, Tennessee. And you can check them out at nothingtoofancy.com, where you can find amazing T-shirts, men's apparel. They've got some really cool combs that I want to get.
Little beard combs.
Yeah, my beard's getting a little bit
crazy.
You
see, I'm growing mine out now. Have you noticed?
Are you going to?
Yeah. It's winter time. It's winter beard.
Oh, yeah.
Winter beard time.
I figured you would shave about right now.
No.
It's about that length where you just kind of go babyface again.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Well, I've been listening to a lot of Babyface.
Yeah, I'll bet you have.
That's what's different about you today.
Yeah. Anyway, check out nothingtoofancy.com or Nothing Too Fancy Knoxville on Instagram, and you can check out some awesome merchandise that you could also get that's Sharing News with Friends related at Nothing Too Fancy.
Also, if you don't care, go give us some reviews and stars in iTunes or wherever you're listening to our podcast from.
This feels like it's getting long.
It is.
That's what she said.
Quite long. Yes.
That is what she said.
Yes. Wow. Why did I not think of that? Probably because I said it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyways, let's go get into the episode.
That's true. We got an episode to get into.
We do. We have the fabulous Chris Martin from Hostage Calm.
Awesome.
Let's go.
Do it.
1, 2, 3, 4. Sharing Needles with Friends.
Chris, how's it going, man?
Not bad, and you?
Doing well.
Pretty good. Thanks for doing this with us.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Oh, man, no
Absolutely.
problem at all. I know you guys are on tour right now, right?
Yep, we're in Florida.
Florida.
Nice. How's the weather down there?
Sunny at one turn and then pouring rain at another.
Yeah.
That's the way you get it in Florida usually, man.
That's true.
I got some family down there, and it's hit or miss when we go visit.
Yeah, it generally rains every day a little bit.
Yeah.
It's pretty strange.
Yeah, it rains a lot. It rains for like 2 hours at a time.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
You know, hour.
It's such a random thing, but I guess when you live there, you kind of get used to it.
Yeah.
So, first of all, I want to start by saying your new record, Die on Stage, is fantastic.
Thank you.
And so that was just released on the 16th. And you guys have an extensive tour that you guys are embarking on. It's actually, I looked at the tour dates, and it's pretty fantastic how much you guys are touring. How has the reception been so far with I know it's really early, but with the new record?
It's been pretty phenomenal. I mean, we don't go out there with certain expectations for how people will receive a record. But for us, we felt like we poured everything into this record, and that it was the greatest possible record we could make, and the exact record we wanted to make. Which is another specific goal, not to just make a great record, but one that expresses exactly how you feel. And I felt like we got there on both those fronts, and for people to connect with it already and to have such an outpouring of support for it, definitely, it definitely makes you feel good. It's not something that, you don't create the music for people to like it per se, but you definitely lets you know you're not alone.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's always really important to not, cater to what you think everyone wants to hear, but to make the record that you fucking love and that you want to put out there, and then just hope that other people attach to it and, kind of gravitate and have the same mentality once they start listening to the songs and kind of take them on as their own. Because that's the great thing about songwriting is you can put something out there, and it may, be a really important song to you, and other people find it really important as well, and kind of find a way to, take it into their own, personally.
For sure. And I think that on that same token, if you create something that, if you create something merely out of catering to people, my guess is it would come across just phony and kind of hollow, and would not have that same ability to connect, because people connect with honesty much more than, pandering.
Exactly.
Phoniness, which they may attach themselves to the pandering thing for a moment, but it won't have any lasting value.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I feel like when a record is not genuine, people can call bullshit on it pretty easily. Like, I hear records all the time where I instantly can tell, well, this person probably didn't really write this song.
Yeah.
Because you just don't feel the same connection or emotion from them out of the song.
Yeah, it sounds like them, but where are they?
Right. But you guys have done an amazing job at always keeping a very solid, from your very first record on, like, your identity is your identity. And you guys have kept very true, and obviously there's been tons of growth and change, over the years. But that obviously is something that always happens. But you guys have done a really good job at keeping you without losing that.
I feel like through the discography of your albums, like, you can listen to all of them, and you've kept your identity, but you've done enough changing it up on each album to make it interesting and not get bland and stale like a lot of bands do.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly appreciate that. We definitely try to always push ourselves, and even when we were doing Die on Stage, I had probably written around like 35 songs.
Wow.
We're going through, and you're like, what songs go on this record?
Yeah.
What are the best songs? What songs go the best together? I'm going through, and obviously we write songs that I think we don't like write the same song over and over again.
Right.
Yeah.
We write songs that have, even across an album, very a ton of variation rhythmically, the actual dynamics, even what some might call the various like genres at different moments.
Absolutely.
And so when we entered the studio, I was a little worried. I was like, we have such an array of songs, and Will and I were talking, and Will was just like, there's such a singular voice that goes across these songs, like in those mood, even if it's like a heavy, like kind of punk song like 1,000 Miles, or something soft like 1231. There's a singular sort of
thread that kind of ties
through the way the melody moves, through the sense of voice, through the sense of identity, and it shines through our songs. And I think for me, that's why it's never seemed that crazy, to have Len's lead all the way up to this record now, because across those records, I can hear the same sort of movement.
Yeah.
Harmonically, melodically, etc. So I think we've always had our musical, on the music theory standpoint, we've always had our musical identity at the forefront. And the other stuff, I guess, to me, I just chalk up to almost like aesthetics,
Yeah. Well, I think that, especially on the new album, the diversity of it is what keeps the whole album just interesting. Like, you've got songs that, they're not in the same genre, they're not in the same whatever, but it's got this cohesiveness and ups and downs throughout the album that makes it really pleasurable to listen to all the way through. And I think that's something you guys did very, very well on this album.
As diverse as the record is, everything fits.
Yeah, it's so cohesive.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, even, I look back at records that we always loved and romanticized. I mean, you look at, like, one I think people go back to a lot with us is Lemon Calling, but I mean, that's, if you look across that album, it's not like boom, cut, boom, cut, boom, the whole album. It's like a whole array of, pop music, world music, punk, whatever. I think they kind of capture a sense of spectrum and a sense of, like, totality of what they were feeling by not limiting themselves to a certain stylistic set of rules,
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
Well, I know it was probably hard to, take those 35 songs and pick what goes on the album, but was it difficult for you to, like, piece together, like, what sequence they were going to be on the album and everything? Because that always, like, even when I've done that, even in mixed CDs when I've done that, it's like stressing for me to do.
It's definitely tough when you're looking at. I was looking for a core group of songs that I could build around.
Yeah.
Like, I was looking for songs that were going to be, okay, this is like, these are some songs that could be like track 2, 5, 6, and 8. And then I can start thinking about, well, then what kind of song opens this album, and what kind of song hits some peaks in the early part of the album, and what closes this album. Then you start to have a sense of some mile markers, and where you can start painting the little rises and falls, and weaving the sense of identity lyrically. So there's a ton of different things going on from the standpoint of, you have to, like, have it sonically work right across the album. You have to have, I would hope, roughly your best songs, because it could just be one song that's the defining piece of an album, just your best song. I mean, it's happened to us in the past where one song is kind of more of the runaway. And, at the same time, you have to actually capture how you feel, how you feel in the context of today, how you feel in, like, a timeless perspective. There's a ton of things that are almost like, you get so many different boundaries and concerns, it can really overwhelm you and shut the whole process down.
Oh, yeah.
I think we started off with, I remember us having, Head Heart was actually written in the studio while we were doing Please Remain Calm. And I remember going up to Jay Robbins and being like, yo, I got this song. Dude, like, this song, I think this song's awesome, man. And we worked 7 days a week on that record around the clock. We did it in like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
He was like, there's no fucking way we're adding another song, man. He didn't listen to it. And I was like, oh, you're making a big mistake. Or whatever. It was the lead single off this album.
Yeah.
But I mean, I remember we had Head Heart, Darling You, and Love Against. Those three were sitting there maybe with like a month of the album out.
Oh, wow.
And I was starting to get really worried, because those were the only songs I was seeing that were really, like, lining up the content of the album. Then there were a whole, 20 or 30 other songs already written, but they weren't the ones that are on this album you hear now.
Oh, wow.
So I was kind of freaking out, like, man, we don't have, like, these sort of elements that I want. And then in 1 week, in, like, I think 2 or 3 days, I wrote Someone Else and 1,000 Miles Away from Here, and we realized this song, When You Know, which I had actually recorded for some solo material. We realized, oh, that would actually be awesome for this record.
Mm-hmm.
And then once we had that, then all of a sudden we had a huge skeleton of songs that were really going to form the backbone.
Right.
That's
And
awesome.
When You Know, I think, was the perfect choice to start the album out.
Yes.
Because that song just gets you right off the front. And I really, really love that song.
I do too.
Yes, thank you. I love that song. It was so weird. I had recorded it a while ago, maybe a year ago, for just some solo work that kind of RFC and I had always kind of toyed with. And one day we were like, I just remember calling Tom at like, midnight or something, pretty late for a phone call.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, should this just be on the record? He's like, yeah, that should definitely be on the record. And then once we had that and those other 2 songs, all of a sudden we had like 6 pretty big songs on there, and we wrote a couple in the studio too.
Yeah.
And there we have it.
That's awesome. Speaking of Your Head, Your Heart, that was directed by Max Moore, who's done stuff for Into It Over It, Converge, I'm the Avalanche, and one of my favorite bands, Coliseum. That video was incredible, by the way.
Thank you.
How did that come about, working with Max? Was that your choice? Like, did you guys like his previous work and want to work with him, or did he approach you guys?
I don't know who approached who, as far as I know that at one point we were kind of shown a list of people who had contacted us.
Yeah.
Through, I don't know if it was through like the label or what, but we had kind of like, these are the people we could work with, who had expressed interest. And we zeroed in on Max and were like, he's done a great job with that. I remember the Into It Over video.
Mm-hmm.
I had this feeling like he really knew what he was doing, and we talked to some people, and he was actually from like the scene and got it, He wasn't some suit, So
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
we definitely,
That means a whole lot right there.
Yeah.
So we trusted that he would be able to make a video that actually expressed the identity of our band and allowed us to do some different things that I think more rigid and stereotypical producers today might not have. They might have just wanted to have like the camera shaking and the brutal mosh warped core type of shit going on. So like instead we were able to make the videos that we thought were cool, and he got that. And I mean, he also sent over that treatment. The treatment is when, for those who don't know, that's when they send over like a little script of what the video is going to be. And he sent over the one for Head Heart. And we had some adjustments to it, but more or less, like that concept right there, we were like, this is great. We got to do this, and the idea of screwing around in suits and, looking like the
back
Beatles,
to the 60s.
he instantly got us right there. So he probably just took us for suckers. Like, well, obviously these assholes are going to fall for doing the whole Beatles thing.
Who wouldn't fall for doing the Beatles thing?
That's
I mean,
true.
they were doing something
We
right,
fell for it, hook, line, and sinker.
Well, the video turned out killer. It's pretty fantastic, and for anyone listening that hasn't checked it out, I highly recommend it.
Now, I know, I think I read somewhere when you recorded Please Remain Calm, you tracked that all live, correct?
Yeah, I mean, there were some things we went and overdubbed, but it was definitely a live record.
Did you do that the same with Will when you recorded Die on Stage, or did you do it differently?
No, I think what we did is we tried to take the live approach of getting like full takes for the song, and then going back and kind of doing more work and overlaying more stuff, and we just had more time. So there are a lot of live elements, like when you're hearing the song, probably a ton of the drums, bass, guitars, etc. are all sourced from like live takes, and then we have kind of the ornamentation put over it. A lot of the vocals we did longer takes than usual, and so it was definitely built off of the idea that playing a live take can kind of create this weird sort of intangible magic. But at the same time, being mindful that like we have 6 weeks in the, or I think it was 7 weeks in the studio, we can actually take the time and really pick things apart. So it was kind of like trying to make it sound as natural and real and vibrant as possible, using a kind of amalgam of different recording methods.
Yeah. And I think that's really kind of the best way to approach it, instead of, being cut and dry, like we're only going to record this live or we're only going to do this track by track. When you can kind of take, I'm a fan of live recording, and because I feel like it captures more emotion than, hey, we're going to have the drummer play to a metronome and then everyone's going to lay their stuff on top. Yes, that works, but it also kind of makes for things to be a little more sterile.
It makes it a little mechanical sometimes.
Yeah.
For sure.
So I feel like a lot of bands have kind of gotten away from doing the live recording as much, and for me, it just produces a better record because it's something that you can connect with on an emotional level. I feel like far more because there's more emotion in it.
Yeah,
it's less
for sure. And I think there's a. Oh, sorry, excuse me.
Oh no, you're fine. Go ahead.
Well, I think there's a sense too that it can become a religion, right? You can have. There are people who are going to live record it, and I think with Please Remain Calm, it was very much a very disciplined live recording setup. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it just needs to be quite that dogmatic. I think that if you're of the right mindset that live music creates the most emotion, then you can also be of the mindset of, well, we just did those bunch of takes really great, but there's this one spot here that if we throw another guitar over it, it'll sound gigantic.
Exactly.
And you just are kind of more honest with yourself that, we're sticking to this live approach, but we have the time to make things sound, if you're considering recording something live too, what you're hearing is how it's captured live.
Yeah.
It may not be as good as the thing that actually happened in the room. So to be true to the whole situation too, you may need to put things on top of it to bring out the energy that actually happened in that room that didn't get quite captured in the way that you were hoping it would be. So there's a ton that goes into it, and I think that we, when we did Self-Titled, it was a very, modern style recording.
Yeah.
Very, digital in its approach. It was recorded by younger guys. And that's great. I think that record sounds awesome.
Yeah.
When we did Please Remain Calm, there was kind of like a knee-jerk reaction on our part to like, well, let's just freaking show everybody that we can do it live. Screw it, and then like, so and that was a little sassier moment maybe in the band.
Yeah.
But then you get back to I think what was a better equilibrium of using all those different methods and everything you have available to yourself to kind of really capture what is at its inception only an idea.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's not like this. To me, the album is not really a performance. You must perform it for it to become real.
Yeah.
But the album, as I see it, was an idea.
Yeah.
Or even a set of ideas. And so the performance should not be the limiting factor, or the style of capturing it should not be the limiting factor. You should be doing everything you can to bring that idea fully to life.
Yeah.
That's my take on it.
Yeah, I mean, you're recording live, you're getting the heart and the soul of the song there, and then everything you put on top of it is just, bringing out and highlighting things that you want highlighted,
For sure.
Yeah. How was working with Will Yip on the new record? Everything that guy touches is gold to me, and I think that he fit your all sound really, really well.
Yeah, he's great. I really came to trust him, and I'm not a super trusting person, to be honest.
Yeah.
I kind of historically have always lorded over the shoulder of some producer and be like, that's the take, that's not the take, that's the take, that's not the take,
Yeah.
With Will, I really got a sense that he shared the vision and was working every second to make the right take choices to make that vision real. So that kind of allowed me to not sit in and watch every drum take. When we go into the studio, we have pretty much every drum fill, every little kick, all the way sorted out down to the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, historically, I would watch every drum take and pick the drum takes, and that was the best fill of that, and let's go back and re-hit this. I was able to kind of step out of the room and go into like a side area in Studio 4 meant for writing.
Yeah.
And just write songs all day while we track through them.
Man, that's
because
incredible.
I knew Will was going to get the right take.
Yeah.
That made the the recording so much more productive. That's why songs like Fallen Angel are on this record, because I had time to mess around and write music while we were in the studio instead of micromanaging it unnecessarily.
And that's incredible when you can put your trust into a producer and know that they're going to do, you know, when you know their catalog and what they've done, and you can kind of sit back and know that it's in good hands and that you don't have to, you know, because I know that feeling. I've worked with producers before where I wanted to just say, you really just don't get what I'm doing, do you? Like, I really, you know, without, you know, coming off as a dick, but, you know, there's been many times where I've wanted to do that. Like, you're okay. So we were on the same page, I thought, but now that I'm hearing this, you don't get it, do you? It's awesome to be able to put something in the hands of a producer and know that they understand what you're going for. They know what you're about, and they're not going to try to make it something completely different, which
and it allows you to create,
exactly,
which is, you know, the biggest part, you know,
huge freedom.
Yeah, absolutely, and you'd be surprised what little gaps in understanding the vision a band has. There's little gaps between the band's concept and the producer's concept can lead to pretty monumental differences in the turnout of a record, and can make something that was one idea sound totally different. So you have to be, in a lot of cases, vigilant. And for instance, G. Robbins and I don't think had shared the same sort of vision all the time, and I think that made it where I felt really. I mean, he's a great producer. He's a very accomplished producer, and he's a good friend of mine. But there was a sense that I needed to be in the room to keep an eye, make sure this was taking shape like I envisioned it.
Yeah.
And that's just a different approach.
Yeah. Now, I read something really awesome that you guys did with your first album. Well, not the first, the self-titled record. If you want to explain on that a little bit, you had you gave it away for free for people signing a petition to help pass the
marriage
equality bill in New York, correct?
Yep.
That is really freaking cool,
man.
It is.
That's
and
incredible.
I applaud you greatly for that. What got you
Thank you.
What got you into being so supportive of the LGBT cause, and because you do a lot of stuff for them, don't you?
Well, we had obviously the band from the first note of our demo was a super politically charged band.
Yeah.
And so for us, it's always been a general interest in social justice and trying to use this band to make real change, in every way that we can.
Mm-hmm.
I think that over time, in the late first decade of the 2000s, it really started to come to a head that there was such visceral hatred politically towards a certain class of people, and we felt like it was so tied to punk, this concept of being able to be who you are and be an individual, to love who you want, to pursue your life and not have the federal or state government telling you that who you love is not as good because of some religious reason.
Right.
Yeah.
That stood out to us as not only one of the most glaring injustices, but one that I thought resonated with punk. So, and that's across the whole LGBTQ spectrum of issues. That goes to housing discrimination. That goes to workplace discrimination.
Exactly.
Like, we're about to be in Maryland in a couple days. Maryland just passed a transgender anti-discrimination bill that followed the marriage equality bill. So
that's awesome.
For us, we saw there was so much wrong with the way our country was dealing with the issue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I look back historically and see, for instance, at the outset of punk comes pretty much fully charged with this anti-racist attitude.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That it was sort of like this movement against racism, and it had a political tilt right from the outset. I felt like this issue, while not the same as racism and I'm not trying to equate different types of injustice. I think it has the same. It goes to the heart of the punk ethic.
Yeah.
In the same way. So, for us, we had just put out, that song Ballad Stones, and that song kind of like took off. And we had been thinking, how do we make merchandise that says something about our band? Because people just kind of want you to sell T-shirts, and you get all these managers and labels and things, and you're like, well, you can do this or this or this. And we were like, well, how do we? We thought, how can we just make a shirt that actually was a statement?
Something? Yeah.
Yeah. And so I had the idea to do the I Support Same-Sex Marriage T-shirt, and we just went out back behind my apartment, shot a photo, put it on a T-shirt, and I mean the rest is history with that.
Yeah,
I think just a whole bunch of those things together kind of created this near accidental avalanche, of people getting involved. There became so much awareness around the issue. It became such a thing to wear that shirt in support of not just marriage equality, but I think broader social equality and broader equality for LGBTQ folks in all walks of life, even outside the marriage issue is but one issue.
Right, exactly.
So it was just a strange. I can't really explain how it took off, but once it did, we definitely thought to ourselves, we had to do everything we could to try to draw a line from point A, caring about something, to point B, accomplishing something.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, is that there is so much dormant support for something like this in punk scene, but there often lack the infrastructure to translate someone's individual support into a collective, meaningful accomplishment. And so with the New York thing, I thought, well, maybe this is a way to string stuff together. It happened like late at night. We thought of it.
Yeah.
I thought of it when I was on the phone with our, with someone who was involved with our press. And I was like, can you just hit up AP? It was, and we set it up that night. I wrote a letter till like 2 a.m. And then, that was that. But yeah, the general point was that the people want to do something, right? I think people will have this sort of stereotypes that folks in punk don't care today, or kids today don't give a shit, and they're on the internet and they're whatever. People, I think, care just as much. It's just so overwhelming to think about how you can actually translate your feelings into meaningful action. And when we did something like the T-shirts or the various demonstrations and rallies we've done, or the petition we ran in New York, that gave people an avenue to actually plug in and make a real difference. And the New York thing, I mean, I remember watching the actual vote play out, and people were changing. These senators who we had emailed were changing their minds, and they said, it was, I've received thousands of emails about this, and I kept thinking to myself, I think in less than like a day, 4,000 or 5,000 emails were from our petition.
Man, that is incredible.
He didn't say tens of thousands of emails.
Yeah.
He said thousands of emails.
Yeah.
And 5,000 of those were from kids who listen to punk music.
Yeah.
And that was cited in each one of those representatives' remarks and why they changed their vote. So you never know to what degree a certain person's singular email did that, but altogether, all those people coming up at once certainly made a really notable impact. And so my lesson from that was, if you can help provide the infrastructure to link people from point A to point B, they can actually accomplish something that is pretty awe-inspiring.
Yeah. Well, I think that's an excellent use of, helping with music to promote change.
Yeah.
And you did a great job on that.
And I feel like, I mean, the whole, socio-political stance that punk rock was built off of, I highly respect you guys for keeping that going, because it seems like there are so many, in the 90s there were a lot of political punk rock bands that brought awareness to, whatever.
Yeah.
And that, I feel like it's kind of gotten brushed aside a little bit, and not saying anything bad about any punk band or pop punk band, but I feel like a lot of people have kind of lost sight of what the true origins of what punk rock means, and I feel like the fact that you guys still have a grasp on wanting to make a change and wanting to make a difference, there's so much respect for that I can't express it enough. I think it's incredible.
Thank you. I mean, it's always been inseparable for us. I mean, we never knew it any other way.
Yeah.
I guess from the time I was picking up an Anti-Flag CD when I was like 13 or whatever,
Yeah.
That's just
and you guys
the way it was.
Got
you
to
did
do
a split with them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did a split with them. We did we did the 20-year anniversary tour, and we toured with them in Europe.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's badass.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
13-year-old me can't believe that still.
Yeah, I was going to say, growing up listening to that, I couldn't even imagine getting to actually share the stage with them, and then not just that, but put out a record with them.
Yeah,
that's just,
I'm
God.
sure that had to be
I still don't think
amazing.
that they know. I still don't think that they know, like, to what degree that was the single most important, like, foundational band to me when I was, young. I mean, if you go to that moment, I'm, 13, whatever. The U.S., the 9/11 happens an hour away from where I live, and the U.S. launches into this whole thing that I was, like, immediately skeptical about.
Yeah.
And I'm reading, like, 1984 for school, and I'm listening to Anti-Flag, and I don't think they understand that moment for a little kid who was watching, his parents flip out and watching this world of adults march that seemed then totally misguided and seems even more now totally misguided. But the Anti-Flag was like, you weren't lonely if you had that. You understood that other people out there saw how wrong things were. And I think that as much as we've become great friends, a lot of us, and Anti-Flag and myself, I think that they probably still don't know the kind of formative impact they had on me.
Yeah. That's so incredible.
It's great when music can just do that to you. It
Yes.
can like reinforce your own thoughts and ideas and just make you stronger. And I'm sure that's what the effect it had on you going through all of that shit.
Absolutely.
Well, we're not going to keep you very much longer. I know you got probably stuff to do on your tour. Couple quick questions. Are you a vinyl collector at all?
I have a bunch of records, nothing that's of really crazy worth.
Yeah.
But just pretty much, kind of basic records. I mean, I have a decent collection, I guess.
Yeah.
Nice. And what would you say you're listening to the most right now? Anything new that's caught your ear, or even if it's anything old, what are you listening to the most at the moment?
Well, we just, the past couple of days, we've been listening to this little EP by a band called The Clippers that were from Massachusetts. They never did really anything. They may have only played a couple of shows.
Yeah.
But it's the most phenomenal EP if you have a chance to find it on the internet.
Yeah, I'll search for that.
From a few years ago, and they really knocked it out of the park. So I've been listening to that a lot.
Nice.
Sweet. Well, cool, man. Well, best of luck to you all on the rest of your tour, and thank you so much for doing this. Do you care if we play one of your songs at the end of the podcast?
Yeah, you can play any song you'd like.
Cool.
Do you
man.
have a preference by any chance?
Let's do Fallen Angel.
Sounds good, man.
Awesome.
Well, Chris, thank you so much, man, and best of luck to you guys.
All right, thank you.
All right, see you, man.
Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.